He never built anything. My wife said it like it was a fact. Flat. Cold. I didn't look at her. I kept my eyes on the table. The judge leaned forward. Do you know what he actually did? Her attorney didn't answer. That's when I knew something had shifted. I'm Daniel Reeves. 42. I spent 20 years working jobs nobody talks about. Long hours. Quiet work. The kind you don't explain at dinner parties. My wife Laura used to say she liked that about me. Said I was steady. Reliable. But somewhere along the way that changed. The hearing was supposed to be simple. Division of assets. Clean break. That's what her lawyer pushed for from the start. I agreed to almost everything. The house. The accounts. Even the car she barely drove. I didn't argue. Didn't interrupt. That bothered her more than anything. She kept glancing at me like she wanted a reaction. Like she needed one. But I stayed quiet. Because something felt off. Not just what she said in court. Everything leading up to it. The late call she took outside. The documents she suddenly stopped leaving around. The way her attorney kept watching me, like he was waiting for me to slip. I shouldn't have noticed all that. But I did. And sitting there listening to her say I built nothing. I realized she was counting on me staying silent. What she didn't realize, I wasn't the one in the dark. Laura and I weren't always like this. We met in our late 20s. Back then I worked long shifts and came home tired, but things were simple. She handled most of the day-to-day stuff. Bills, schedules, all of it. I trusted her. Never felt the need to double-check anything. That was my first mistake. About a year ago things started to shift. Small things at first. She began taking calls in another room. Said it was work stuff. Started keeping her phone face down. Locked her laptop even when she stepped away for a minute. I didn't ask questions. Not because I didn't notice. Because I wanted to see how far it would go. Then came the financial changes. She insisted on organizing our accounts. Said it would make taxes easier. I let her. Gave her access to everything. A few weeks later I couldn't find certain records. Nothing obvious. Just gaps. Statements missing. Transfers that didn't quite line up. When I asked she brushed it off. Clerical errors, she said. I nodded. But I stopped ignoring it. That's when I started checking things myself. Quietly. At night. Early mornings. Whenever she wasn't around. And the more I looked, the more it didn't add up. Not just money. Something bigger was moving. And whatever it was, she didn't think I'd notice. The first real crack showed up on a Tuesday night. Laura was in the shower. Her phone lit up on the kitchen counter. I wasn't planning to look. But the screen stayed on longer than usual. A message preview popped up. Everything will be ready before the hearing. No name saved. Just a number. That wasn't normal. I didn't touch the phone. I didn't need to. I memorized the number. Next morning I ran it. Didn't take long. It was tied to a small consulting firm. Legal and financial restructuring. The kind of place people use when they're moving things around quietly. That's when the pattern clicked. The missing records. The sudden account changes. The silence. She wasn't just organizing things. She was preparing something. I still didn't confront her. Instead, I started documenting. Every transaction I could still access. Every account shift. Dates. Times. Screenshots. I even requested archived statements directly from the bank. Took longer, but they came through. And when they did, the timeline became clear. Money wasn't disappearing. It was being moved. Layer by layer. Into places that didn't connect back to me. At least not on the surface. That's when I understood what I was looking at. This wasn't random. It was planned. Carefully. Over months. And the court date? That wasn't just a divorce hearing. It was the final step. She thought she had everything covered. What she didn't realize, I had already started putting it back together. The truth didn't hit all at once. It showed up in pieces. A transfer here. A closed account there. Small amounts at first, then larger ones. Always timed right before statements were generated. Clean. Careful. But not perfect. One of the archived reports came back with a detail she must have missed. A linked account. Not in her name. Not in mine. But tied to one of our original joint transfers. I followed it. That's when I saw his name. Evan Pike. I'd heard it before. Took me a minute to place it. Then it clicked. Her attorney's consultant. The same firm connected to that number. He wasn't just advising her. He was holding the money. Moving it through accounts that didn't point back to us. I kept digging. Emails I recovered from an old backup. Fragments, but enough. They were planning it for months. Shift the assets. Make it look like I had nothing. then walk into court and say I never built anything. No contribution. No claim. Clean exit. Everything in her favor. I sat there staring at the screen for a long time. Not angry. Not surprised. Just clear. Because now I understood the whole play. And once you see the whole board, you stop reacting. You start positioning. She thought the hearing was the end. For me, it was where I was going to let her finish it. I didn't confront her. Didn't change my routine. If anything, I made it easier for her. Signed documents without hesitation. Agreed to timelines. Let her think I was checked out. That was important. Because the moment she felt safe, she stopped being careful. I started tightening things quietly. Requested full transaction histories going back 2 years. Not just summaries, raw data. Routing paths. Linked accounts. Every layer. Took time. But patterns don't hide when you look long enough. I also spoke to someone I trusted. Not a friend. A forensic accountant I'd worked with years ago. Off the record at first. I didn't give names. Just showed him the structure. He didn't say much. Just nodded and said, they rushed the last phase. That was all I needed. I kept building. Backups. Hard copies. Timestamps. Every piece organized. Simple. Clear. Undeniable. And then I did one more thing. I stopped touching the accounts. Completely. No logins. No changes. Nothing that could alert them. Because if they checked, I wanted it to look like I'd given up. Meanwhile, I set one final request in motion. A formal audit trigger. Quietly filed. Scheduled to land right after the court finalized everything. Not before. After. Because timing mattered. They thought they were about to walk away clean. I was making sure. They walked straight into something they couldn't step out of. By the time we walked back into court, everything was in place. Laura looked relaxed. More than relaxed. Confident. Her attorney was the same. Calm, prepared. He slid a folder across the table like this was already finished. I didn't open it. Didn't need to. The judge started with routine questions. Assets. Agreements. Final positions. Laura answered quickly. Like she'd rehearsed it. Daniel had no direct involvement in building our finances, she said. I handled everything. I stayed quiet. The judge turned to me. Do you disagree? I shook my head. No, Your Honor. That caught them off guard. Her attorney leaned in just slightly. Watching me. Waiting. Then came the last step. They submitted their financial summary. Clean. Organized. Stripped down. Exactly how they planned it. Minimal assets. Limited exposure. Nothing tying back to the transfers I'd traced. On paper. I had nothing. The judge reviewed it for a moment. Then looked up again. Mr. Reeves, he said, is there anything you'd like to add before I proceed? That was the moment they were waiting for. The moment I was supposed to argue. Fight. React. I didn't. I reached into my folder. Not quickly. Not slow either. Just steady. And placed one document on the table. Just one thing, I said. The room went quiet. Because what I set down wasn't part of their plan. It wasn't a speech. It wasn't a stack of papers. Just one document. Simple. Clean. Easy to read. The judge picked it up. His expression changed about halfway down the page. Counsel, he said, looking at Laura's attorney, are you aware of this filing? Her attorney didn't answer right away. He took the paper. Read it once. Then again. That confidence he walked in with. It slipped. This wasn't disclosed, he said. No, the judge replied. It wasn't. Laura leaned forward. What is that? No one answered her. Because now the judge was flipping to the attached pages. Transaction paths. Linked accounts. Names. Evan Pike. That's when she saw it. Her face didn't just pale. It froze. This shows a pending audit request, the judge said slowly. Filed prior to today's hearing. He looked directly at her attorney. Along with documentation indicating undisclosed asset movement. Silence. Heavy. Final. I didn't say anything. Didn't need to. The judge set the papers down. We are not finalizing anything today, he said. This matter is being referred for full financial review. Laura turned toward her attorney, whispering fast, sharp. He didn't respond. Just stared at the document like he was trying to find a way out. There wasn't one. Because the hearing wasn't their finish line. It was the point where everything started collapsing. The courtroom didn't explode. No shouting. No drama. Just silence. The kind that settles in when everyone understands what just happened. Laura didn't look at me. Not once. She kept her eyes on the table like if she stayed still enough, it might undo itself. It didn't. The investigation moved fast after that. Faster than they expected. Accounts were flagged. Transfers traced. Names connected. Evan Pike didn't stay quiet for long. People like him rarely do when pressure shows up. Within weeks, everything they tried to separate was tied back together. Every dollar. Every step. Every decision. The court didn't just reopen the case. They rewrote it. Full financial disclosure. Penalties. Legal consequences. The version of the story Laura told didn't hold up anymore. Not when the numbers spoke for themselves. I didn't push for anything extra. Didn't need to. What was mine came back. What wasn't, stayed where it belonged. The last time I saw her was in a follow-up hearing. She looked different. Not angry. Just tired. Like someone who finally realized the plan didn't work. As we walked out, she said one thing. "You knew." I looked at her for a second. Then nodded. I saw enough. That was it. No speeches. No victory. Just the truth. And sometimes, that's all it takes.